So the big question is this: how are real estate agents like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital and are spending money from our own pockets, how do we compete with these billion-dollar real estate tech companies and iBuyers in a way that lets us bring our services and the things we believe in out into the world and still remain profitable? That's the big question. And on this podcast, we'll give you the answers. Welcome to the iBuyer experiment.
Hey. What's up, guys?
Hey.
How you doing?
What's happening? I'm Kayla Leos.
I'm Jason Leos, and we got Keith Howard and Elliot T.
Elliot Tomaszewski, or Elliot Tomaszewski.
Or we have an either or with your last name.
Either or.
I love it. All right. Hey guys, welcome to the iBuyer experiment. Today we're going to talk about how Opendoor and Zillow are losing tens of thousands of dollars on each home. Believe it or not.
Tens of thousands.
That's right. So when they talk about what's happening with
how do they do that?
Well, here's the deal. They're using unit economics when they talk about profitability, and what is not included in those unit economics are basically their sales, their marketing, their salaries, their office space, their rent, their legal fees, their technology fees.
Expansion fees.
So
The advertising, customer acquisition. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
it is insane. In the case of Opendoor, there's a recent article on Inman from Mike Delpreet where he dives into this, gets very meaty and granular. And essentially, the bottom line is there's an additional $366 million of expenses in the everything else category, which
66
roughly works out to $20,000 per home sold.
Wow.
Huh.
How many of you agents can lose $20,000 in every listing? Wow.
That
I've had
is-
losings where I lose like $20 and I want to cry.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm a real estate agent. I am looking at this article and I'm thinking a few things. Number one, I'm thinking, see, they can't sustain this business model. They're gonna go out of business. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I think
they're
that's
going to go extinct.
Yeah, that's what a lot of
They're never
of
gonna
agents.
work.
I was reading some of the comments underneath, and it's like, oh yeah, see, they're losing all this money. I can't wait until they could like go out.
Because
blah, blah,
agents
blah.
a lot of times focus on the micro, not the macro.
Yeah, exactly. So I think what agents are missing is that this is a long game, guys. Like the iBuyer,
Heck yeah.
the iBuyer thing is not some short thing. They are trying to put together all sorts of different types of money grabbing, or what do you call it?
Market share?
Market share.
Market share in like lending and home warranties. They're
Title
title
companies.
They bought a title company. I don't think Zillow's bought
Well,
one
like I
yet,
said, we
but-
don't know if when they're within their unit economics, if they're actually reporting on the mortgage income that they're going to be receiving, the title income that they're receiving, right? Like,
No, they don't have that in there yet.
Yeah.
But
well, like we were talking about before, Mike Delpreet, when I think it was roughly a year and a half ago or whatever, when he was talking about that it was all about the race for the lead. Well, like we were talking about before, at the time, I totally understood where he was coming from, but I also didn't connect to it quite as much because I was looking at it from a very simplistic, all right, well, if they don't buy the house, then it doesn't work out for them. Well, now with them turning into brokerages / iBrokerages, and the yield from every single lead that comes into the picture, well, title cost, loan cost, acquisition of property. Like I said, when you really look at how they've cornered every single avenue to potentially squeeze every dollar out of every lead, it's either cornering at the best we've seen or genius at the same time. Probably a bit of both, right?
Right. Well, and I've always come from a different perspective because it's not like they've kept it secret. They don't, not one of the iBuyers, even if they quote unquote claim a loss, on average per property, has ever said or hinted, "Ooh, can't sustain this for too long. Otherwise, we're going to go out of business." That's never been a talk.
They've only expanded.
So-
it's like, let's go get another round, boys.
Yep.
Exactly. They are going to. I think there's other factors that aren't being played, that the loss isn't as great as they're making it sound. Like, for instance, one example, without going down the rabbit hole, we still don't know on average how much they're making off of the inspection period.
Yep.
So that's not being taken into that. And then also a factor of hitting the title companies, the mortgages, the buys, and all that,
Yep.
which then will factor, are they actually taking that type of a loss? But they're willing to take that type of loss if they have to. I mean, Rich Barton have said it. He said they're willing to take a loss for a while to gain as much market share as fast as possible. And they all have that mindset. That's right. Let's go get another round.
Well, and I think we're forgetting about one huge piece, with the 800-pound gorilla that's in the room. Both of them are Opendoor. Opendoor is going public January. So now they're going to be hooked up. I mean, they're going to hit it with $6.5 billion market valuation at that time.
I thought they're not going public until 2000.
Was it 2021?
I thought it was a year from January, right?
Yeah, they're still going to be taking.
So,
it's 2022 or 2021? I thought it was 2021.
I believe it's 2021. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It is 2021.
The end of 2021. So it's close to the end of the year of next year.
We got to verify that because I thought it was. I for some reason thought it was, and I might have my wires crossed on it, but I thought it was January. Regardless, right? That the tap of that fountain of never-ending money from the stock market, especially when they can show performance of, like you said, unit economics. As long as they can keep their units up, they're keeping through advertising, through market exposure, billboards, radio ads, etc. They keep those submissions driving up. They're always going to be playing the percentages, and that's going to give them the opportunity to continue to expand their market influence.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the game's already changed. At minimum, there's other companies out there. They're just not quite as big yet. But we'll talk about, the Zillow, Opendoor, and OfferPad. They will go as long as they need to until their market share is so big that then maybe they won't be reporting losses anymore. Whether that's 2 years, 3 years, but they've already said by 2025 that they think what was it, over 50% of something astronomical was all going to be done through technology and instant cash offers.
That's what Robert Hahn had kind of hypothesized, was that, the market share for iBuyers and online transactions would be like over 50% by 2024.
And with interest rates as low as they are currently, and the market demand, it's still supply and demand, and with the demand being so high and it being so easy to sell your house on your own right now. I know, again, like I said, it's easy to focus on the micro because this is the way the market has been virtually all over the country for the last 4 or 5 months, where you can sell your house in a couple of hours. But what blows my mind on that is actually here locally in the Phoenix metro, we're the busiest market in the entire country, and how well they're still doing. When you look at the market share that they still must be having, and again, these are the numbers that we're not privy to, that still tells me that they have to be getting at least 25 to 30% of the houses that hit the market. They have to be getting a crack at those houses by making an offer on them to be pulling off the numbers that they still are. And again,
well, and now they're bringing the agent, the Opendoor agent, into their home. And
You're gonna be
competing against for that listing. Now it's not just an offer. Now they're going for it.
Yeah, so that's going to make those losses over time start going like this.
Absolutely, because what are they paying these agents? They're not paying them a 3% commission, but they're going to take it.
It's going to be that Redfin model, right?
Right?
It won't surprise me. I mean, they're going to try to take on Redfin when it comes to that. And remember, they had a little bit of a partnership on that, so I guarantee they probably took a nice look at their metrics of how that works, and now they're going to take on some Redfin.
I think that, we can always assume it's all nefarious and their purposes, but I just think those things happen by accident. You just kind of backdoor your way into that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we stumble into things.
I think so, but I think that the interesting thing is there, what I've noticed in just training and, basically helping hundreds of real estate agents over the years, one of the things that I have noticed is there are a lot of really amazing agents. They're great at customer service. They're great at, educating the consumer. They're great at helping the consumer. What they're terrible at is getting leads. And so kind of like this business model for Opendoor and Zillow, it's kind of genius because they can kind of cherry pick these amazing agents that just suck at lead generation, but they're excellent with consumers.
Excellent with relationship. Yep.
Absolutely.
So they kind of get to, it's going to be interesting.
So they've all created literally the greatest lead source in real estate history.
Well, and the most valuable leads, right? Everything starts with the raising of your hand of, I want to sell my house, right? And a lot of times that's worth 2 transactions, over 50% of the time, it's worth 2 transactions, sale and acquisition.
Absolutely. So it just goes to show that it may not be that Zillow or Opendoor want to buy your house. They want the lead.
They want the lead.
They're trying to get to the lead first, and it's not about,
Well, and that's what
hey, we
Elliot
want to buy
said.
houses and sell them. It's great, right?
Yeah,
No, they want,
and that's
they
what
want the lead.
Elliot kind of like brought up just a few moments ago. Mike Del Prete's biggest thing was that, hey, this is all about the lead.
Yep.
And I guess the way they're pivoting kind of reveals that, yeah, it really is all about the lead. And so I think that if you're in real estate, which if you're listening to us, you probably
Should be.
are, that should be music to your ears, because what they're doing, you can do as well.
100%.
And you can use the same strategy to attract your clients into your fly trap, so to speak, and give them what they want. They want instant cash offers. They want to see what they can get for their house right this minute. Give it to them. And then you become the expert. You become the one that purveys that offer to them and builds that relationship.
Well, that's part of niching, finding that niche, right, is meeting the consumer where they're at.
Or using what's working, right? I mean, iBuyers obviously know that this is a game changer, right? I mean, they're getting billions of dollars from investors that believe in this.
Yeah, they're
model.
not giving that money for any
So-
reason. No reason either.
You know what does Tony Robbins say? Model people that are doing things that work, and obviously they know that this works, right? They know.
It works.
Well, I think Picasso said a good artist copies and a great artist steals.
I love that one.
No, me too. Yeah, it's true.
Who knows? Maybe eventually here before too long, the Opendoor Zillow and OfferPad will become the new too big to fail. If something ever happens in a
so
massive
funny.
market shift.
Oh, that's true.
Are they already?
Border-
They may
You
be.
know?
They're knocking on the door, especially in the real estate industry.
Well, I think again, tapping into Wall Street is on some levels is really gonna help that. I mean, I realize that the stock market could obviously, their market valuation could tank, which obviously stock, prices go down, but they won't be traded. The demand and all of those types of things, which obviously would hurt them. But when you look at that again, like I said, as long as they keep those lead funnels coming in,
Yeah,
I don't see it changing very
You and I
much.
both know you can sway stocks pretty easily.
Yeah, pump it and dump it, baby. Just kidding. So
Yeah.
we've been, again, maybe it's just my read. I feel like we've been kind of like building this up, like agents can't, take this on, or they, it's not beat them, or if they can't beat them, go join them, kind of thing. But that's not what we're saying here, because the real estate agent is not going away, right? Transactions on a national level are going to always have to have a real estate license involved, for the predominant amount of them. So let's kind of hit on that. Like, while we are in the market of this particular moment, what are some tools and some things that we could talk about that these agents out there, lenders that are possibly listening, title companies that they can give to their agents, and then we could spread some goodwill on how they can go out and start getting their unfair share.
I think it's just changing their messaging, right? I mean, someone said that the cash offer is now the new CMA. Right?
I think Zillow.
I think we said that.
I say
that?
That's
I was totally
that's
about
that's
to.
all right.
I have no
someone.
idea.
That someone is me.
I have no
I
idea
met
why
someone in this
Zillow
room.
came out of my mouth. I think Kayla is the one who came up with that and said that.
Well, because you said Zilla.
Zillow. Did I say Zillow?
I want to go check my house on Zilla.
Isn't it funny? Like sometimes you'll just be talking and you're like, I wasn't even
'cause you-
thinking
you
that.
started with
How
Z
in the
and you ended with A.
world did that word just come out of my mouth? Anyway, my
Yeah,
apologies.
I just remember when we first started, when we hired some agents to call expireds and FSBOs
Yeah.
and all sorts of different people. We'd canvass neighborhoods and when the script changed, when it was like, hey, would you be interested in getting some cash offers on your home, rather than, hey, would you be interested in wanting to know what your house might sell on the open market for? Can I give you a CMA? I think I just remember the day thinking when some of our agents started getting people going, yes, yeah, I'd be happy to get some cash offers. Just thinking, wow, this is a lot easier. Right?
It's just instant.
It just changed once you change the wording and change what you're asking the consumer.
It's the offer. You change the offer.
Yeah.
From here's what I think you could get for your home to, hey, here's what you can get.
Absolutely.
you know,
and then what is it that we want to do? We want to start that relationship. And so if we can get the consumer to say yes to that first thing, right? It's easier to get them to say yes again and yes again and yes again. So
it's getting creative in your fly trap too, like you said around your messaging. I'll dovetail off what you said a little bit ago because I totally agree with you. But if we look at the messaging and we look at the opportunity, right? We all have a tremendous opportunity with our mediums out there nowadays, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, now TikTok, LinkedIn, all these various, different mediums out there. What does that look like? And I realize that this is probably expanding some people's horizons, but if you want to survive in, 2020, you got to start, sharpening the saw and being able to throw some tech game into your game. And so what does that look like to be able to create an ad and post that on Facebook or Instagram, right? And then having it go back to a funnel that gets them to register because you can get them a cash offer and you're the source behind that. So,
right. And we're not talking about anything that isn't already happening in the marketplace.
Right.
You look at a lot of the top producers, a lot of the agents that really are on top of their game, and they do have a system for this. I see it. I follow a lot of the relevant hashtags on Instagram, and I look at what agents are posting, and I'm just generally a marketing. I'm a student. I'm a student of marketing, and I love to look at what everybody is doing. And I have noticed there are a lot of agents that do kind of put that out there as their fly trap of, hey, I can get you an instant cash offer. And so that's really smart. Those are the agents that will win, and those will the agents that will stay relevant.
Well, and here's why, because as Jason said, it's just subtly changing your messaging and getting them to at least the first commitment. And then it's delivering on that commitment, because let's think about before the iBuyers, it would be, hey, your market's pretty hot. I have a buyer that's potentially interested in your property. When's the time I can come by and take a look at your property? And you go over there and you're walking through, you're trying to create the relationship. And you're like, oh, how's your showings going? Hey, have you ever thought about listing? But you never really brought them value. So this is where I think the shift is for the lead. You're bringing them the value. We all know that the majority of the time, the cash offer is not going to work. And they may even go like, oh my gosh, this is all I could get. But then it's you saying, explaining to them the market, then what you could do, but at least you delivered on that first thing, saying, you followed through what you were going to do. And that's where I think that the biggest difference comes into play.
So for me, you just hit on something that I think that's super important and that I think agents really need to understand. Because it's very easy to align yourself with like a 60 cents on the dollar wholesaler type person. But those are insulting to sellers versus enticing.
And I think we had some of those. I think when we first started, we would give the offer without going to see the property or meet with the seller, and I think that's a mistake, right? And I think we quickly figured that out. We're like, hey, before we give them the offer, let's set the appointment and go meet with the seller. Let's go look at their house and maybe take some photos.
Find out the uniqueness of the property.
Or I'm gonna go deliver the offer to them in a face-to-face type of
absolutely
situation.
Just kind of gives you an opportunity, to get that FaceTime. As far as that goes.
Well, yeah, it's like
because you can
don't
call
shoot
anyone.
The messenger.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean,
right.
that's like that goes back to like the Greeks when they were, they would run messages, and the messages would contain, bad news, right? Yeah. And the king would just like shoot the messenger because they were pissed at the message. Yep. And so that's where that came into terminology, and I think that that's what happens when you give the seller that 60 cent on the dollar offer.
Right. Absolutely.
They're like, oh, that's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I know that's like one of the things that, so I guess I'll kind of share a little, something I was just talking to an agent with yesterday who's looking to be, potentially be a subscriber of our software, Zoodealio. And as I was finding out about their particular business, one of the things that they had brought up was transparency and being able to provide their seller options in today's market, right? And them not having to scour all over the place to do that. I mean, like case in point, I think that's why you saw so many Expedias and all these aggregators that's really started to expand and do so well, right? In these types of things. Well, agents are now at that premise too, where you have sell and stay. You have some trade-in options. You have just instant cash options. You have buy my house in cash options, and there's all these different things that it's really tough for agents to be to make sure that they know everything that's going on. So it's like, to me, how do you get yourself in an environment that is going to aggregate these things for you and keep you at the head, of those types of things, to make sure that they are positioning themselves as servant leadership for their clients, right? And then it's all done through the relationship, like we've talked about here. So.
Well, basically what the agent needs to be doing is they need to be familiarizing themselves with the products that are available on the marketplace. You just mentioned basically trade-in options. You mentioned, options for the consumer to sell their home and stay in their home. You mentioned, basically, I think what you mentioned would be knock, would be easy knock, would be Zoodealio. And what the agent can do is the agent can familiarize themselves with these programs that are being offered. They can offer them to their clients. They can do it in an old school fashion, right? They could make a yellow pad and make all of the options in a column
do
format.
Do it with some sticky notes.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be sophisticated. They could make a spreadsheet. They could
That's
maybe.
what you guys did at first, right?
Right.
We totally did.
Spreadsheet, right?
That's right. They could use one of the apps that these title companies offer. They could subscribe to Zoodealio, and they could use our online platform that displays all of the options in a side-by-side comparison next to the agent's, market analysis. They can do any of these, but the bottom line is they're going to have to adapt, and they're going to have to do it.
Yeah. Well, it's just such a tremendous opportunity to lead generate and create more unique value, right? So these, like you said, I mean, for us, obviously, we're a little bit more tech savvy, which is one of the reasons why we created Zoodealio, is being able to put yourself in that tech platform, owning it as yourself, where it's got all your information, where it breaks everything down for them to just clearly choose what's best for that home seller.
Yeah, I think that, I remember the day when I was looking at all of these options, and it just hit me, we were sitting over in that room, the middle conference room, and we were talking about the different offers and how seller can have up to 5 different offers, right? And I'm thinking to myself, why on earth is this on paper? This needs to be online.
Absolutely.
We do everything online. You need to have this online. They need to be able to go, and they need to be able to see it.
That was one of our first big ideas, the multi-offer platform.
That's right. They needed to be able to see
Well,
it.
that was really we didn't even know what we were stepping into at the time of building software. I mean, remember that? It was our original little,
Well, that's the cool
designs.
part. Even if an agent doesn't have that doesn't need to, they don't need to be discouraged to still go out there.
That's right.
And use a simple script. Jason said, "Hey, are you interested in receiving a cash offer on your property?" I mean, your opening line.
It works. It works with anyone too, right?
And then keeping it simple up front, doing a spreadsheet. I mean, that's what we did for years. And until you have a very sophisticated online software like some of these institutional buyers are using, you might be able to get away with a little bit more without always having to worry about the face-to-face up front.
Yep.
But until you align yourself with technology, keeping it simple, obtaining a cash offer, boom, setting that appointment and face-to-face. That's how we crushed it for years. And probably at least Opendoor had told us we were, the third largest.
We were the second. We were the one that sent them the second most opportunities here in the Valley.
Opportunities, and also agents that close deals with them.
Right.
So if you're an agent that goes after expires, you're an agent that goes after FSBOs, you're an agent that holds open houses, you're an agent that door knocks, that makes phone calls or canvasses, or what do you call it, circle prospecting.
Yep.
You can all do that. You can all say, hey, you have somebody coming through the open house. Hey, are you interested in? Do you have a house to sell? Would you be interested in for me getting you some cash offers, some options to sell, some sell and stay options, some trade-in options?
Well, and the cool thing that
we're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And the last thing I'll share in our few remaining seconds here is, I think it's so important to understand that a lot of sellers start with the buy, right? And being able to turn that seller into a cash buyer is huge, right? So having these types of value propositions, again, is really how you're going to add on that 1, 2, 3, maybe even 3, 5 more deals a year. What does that mean to you? Is that 20 grand? Is that 30 grand? Is it 50 grand? I don't know. You decide.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on people. They look for homes first. I think a lot of people will look at what the value of their home is first before they before they can figure out how much they can afford, right? I mean, like for me, I remember thinking, okay, well, how much equity do I have in my house? What could I move up to? Well, we're at 25 minutes. Okay.
Go. You got about 30 seconds.
And I think I think there's a lot of sellers that are actually exploring how much they can get for the house first.
Yeah.
And maybe before they would just go on to Zillow and look at the Zestimate. But now that the Zestimate isn't the gold standard for what's my house worth, now that it's the instant cash offer, now maybe they're looking for you to give them a call and say, hey, would you like a cash offer on your house?
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow us, subscribe, do all of that fun-filled stuff. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.
See ya.
Sorry, I was slow to the button.
We truly appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today on the iBuyer Experiment podcast. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you're notified when we launch new podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.
Show you the money.